Well, we got some pieces. Doing some work on the front axle. I know a lot of people are going to say, why are you putting so much into that Dana 30? Why don't you be like me and do this? Well, because I don't want to be like you, because you suck. So I'm doing what I want to do. What a cute that is. I got this guy welded up. There's going to be some fitment issues here with some of these bolts, but, I couldn't make one of these for the cost of time and materials for what I paid for it, so I'm happy to grind on it a little bit. I got these. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick these in or not. Did a little bit more research after I bought them, and turns out that this junk rubber in here tends to wear out and actually lets water in, and it holds the water in, which is worse on the seals than not. So things came with some bolts. I got the heater on maximum here because it's like 12 degrees outside. Not really, it's like 34, but it's close. Got the stuff tore apart here. Got the Spartan put in, getting all this stuff kind of cleaned up a little bit. Now, if you ever had leaky axle seals before, you know that the tubes like to fill up. That's how you can kind of tell that your seal's leaking, because it starts to look like this. So I got this tool I made off of it's a bushing cup and a broken 9/16 socket. And so what I do is stick that sucker down in that tube and scrape out all of the goo so that when I go to put the axle back in, I can stick it in there without having the splines fill up with crap. So yeah, that's good progress there. This is the first time I've had it back in here since the last wheeling trip. Everything went great. The rear shock blew out, and I'm sure it's because it's just hanging on it, and I have no limit strap, so it's probably no fault of its own. Probably mostly just me neglecting it. Got some new tires here. These are the Mastercraft coursers. Man, it's just like, I don't even know why I bother posting these videos, because everyone has their own little, uniqueness, and they say, well, why don't you just be like me and put in a 9-inch or an 8.8 or put in a Dana 44, just do what I did, be like me. So I did it the way I did it, because that's what I wanted to do. These tires cost me $870. I'm not trying to go drop $3,000 on tires when the entire vehicle, I've got about $2,500 into it. So that's what we did, and by we I mean me. So we're gonna have a little bit of fitment issue here. I know it's gonna rub. Haven't really even tried it. I put the tires on to get them out of the truck so I can move the truck, and I've had a couple different customer jobs in here, mostly electrical, and did some axle seals on a Dana 60 cat axle for a buddy of mine. So yeah, the last time we were here, we were finishing up on the arms. Everything did good. I noticed that there was a little bit of smashy there on the bottom, the body, probably because I have the arm turned sideways, and also it did contact the oil pan a little bit here. So imagine that. So I might turn this bolt around, or maybe mechanically adjust the oil pan a little bit. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this, because I have a WJ sitting out there in the lot, and I want to do the crossover steering, but I need to get this thing on the road for a trip this week. So I'm gonna do the knuckle swap and the ball joints and everything and do the crossover. But see, the problem I'm running into now is at full droop, this contacts here, and at normal ride height, this bends down. So also the track bar is about to touch. So I think I might just heat this up with a torch and bend it in this way, like all the way up in this way. That might be an option. But yeah, and so the other thing is, like, everybody on the Jeep forums are experts, and they say, be like me. I don't want to be like you. This is what I have. So if you do any research, which probably most people don't, they just kind of click and complain because they heard that their brother's neighbor's parakeet that knew a guy who had a Jeep once said that Dana 30s are junk. Well, just like the Dana 35, they're not really junk. You just gotta wheel it to what you got. Right now, the problem with the Dana 35 is the tubes are weak, just like this. So when you come down on something, the tube actually bends, and that's what breaks the C-clips off of the 35. So if you put a truss on it, it increases the strength and the rigidity factors more. Also, the Dana 30 shaft is almost the same size as the 35. But since the weight rides on the unibearing and not on the shaft, it doesn't have those torsional shock loads to it. So this, the Dana 30, if you do any research, which like I said, most of you don't, there are some differences, but there's also a lot of similarities. Ring and pinion and the housing is bigger on a 44, which you can imagine. The C's, the ball joints, the spindles, and the bearings, the brakes are all basically the same as a Dana 44. So what you're paying for is slightly bigger gears, slightly bigger housing, slightly bigger axles, which going from 27 to a 30 spline is a pretty big deal, but it's not that big of a deal. So I'm not going to put any more... Why is that ball joint not in there? Anyway, I'm not going to put anything else in here. The 8 1/4 I had, the Dana 30 is what came in it. So we're going to build what we got, because these are going to go in there eventually. So you're going to say, oh, I'm going to use, you know, these 35 spline axles and not even go to a 30, because I'm going to go from 27 to 35. And in the rear, we might go to 37. So there's that. Where are we at now? Just mostly me rambling. I got to solve the steering issue currently, because it's going to start snowing. I need to get this thing in the snow. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe just move the limit straps somewhere else and cut these off. That probably would be the best thing to do, so I can deal with the steering, solve that problem. And then I need to move the axle forward a little bit, because I got some major rubbish going on here, and I don't really want to cut into the body, because the it's already weak enough. So I think what I'm going to do is push it forward about an inch, which is going to put a little bit of a bind on the track bar, which I'm okay with. And then I'm going to come in here and cut this stuff out of here, because even the 33s hit that. So push it forward, center the spring. So solve one problem, create two more. I guess we'll see what happens. So until next time.